boys and girls. It's story time again, and I'm so happy to be here with you today. And I'm glad that you are watching. We're together, sort of, kind of. Maybe it's different from the way it used to be, but we're getting there. We're getting back to normal, and summer reading program has kicked off with a blast. There's so many things happening, and so many kids have already signed up and are busy reading, counting up all the minutes they're reading so they could get tickets and maybe win prizes. You like to win things, don't you? And so many programs and videos to watch, and this Saturday there's going to be a petting zoo at the library. You have to call and register to make sure you can come to that, right? Anyway, I'm having fun. I hope you're having fun, and it's time for story time. Should we get started? Here we are together again, let's clap and make some noise. It's time to share some stories and songs with all the girls and boys. So come and gather all around, and then we will begin to open up our listening ears. It's story time again. So we're going to have some stories about bears today. And I'm going to start us off with a story about how the bear lost his tail. This story takes place a long time ago, and things were pretty different. For one thing, it was really, really cold. They didn't have summer like this back then. It was cold most of the time. And so the animals had thick, thick fur to help keep them warm. And some of them looked a little bit different. The bear, for example, had the most long, beautiful, flowing, furry tail that you could ever imagine. He was very proud of his tail. In fact, he might have been a little too proud of his tail. Did you ever meet someone who brags a lot and says that they're better than anyone else at something, or that they're smarter than anyone else, or maybe they can run faster or jump higher than anybody else, and they just won't stop talking about how good they are? That was Bear and his tail. He was so proud of his tail that he would strut around the other animals and just flourish his tail out behind him and expect everyone to be jealous. And they were, kind of. Mostly, they were pretty sick of Bear. So, one day, Fox was sitting out by a fire, keeping himself warm, and he was frying 3 fish in a frying pan that he had caught that day. And Bear came walking along up to the fire, and he saw the fish, and he felt hungry. He had a great big grumble in his great big bear belly. And he said, "Fox, will you please share some of your fish with me?" Well, at first, Fox wanted to just say, "No, you're mean, and I don't want to give you any of my fish." But Fox is pretty tricky, and he thought he had a better idea. And he said, "I caught these today, and I bet that you, Bear, could catch even more. You are so talented and so smart and so handsome. I'm sure that you could catch twice as many fish." And Bear thought, maybe I could. Maybe I could catch more fish than any other animal. Why not? And Fox said, "Come here, I'll show you how to do it." And he took Bear down to the river. Now, remember, it was cold, so the ice was forming along some of the waves in the river. You could still see the water, and you could still see the fish swimming around in there, though. And Fox said, "What you do is you sit down here on the bank, and you fish with your tail." And Bear said, "With my tail?" And Fox said, "That's how you do it. You put your long tail down in the water, and the fish love beautiful tails, and they will swim up to see your tail, and that's how you catch them." And Bear thought, well, I'm hungry, and my tail is longer and more thick and furry than Fox's. Let's try. And so he sat there. Fox went back to his fire because he said his fish were going to burn. And Bear sat there by himself on the bank, waiting and waiting. And he dozed off a little bit because, bears get sleepy in the winter. And after a while, he felt that his tail was very heavy and pulling down behind him. And he said, I must have caught a dozen fish at least. I can feel them tugging on my tail. And so he tried to stand up. But what he didn't know was that there were no fish tugging on his tail. While he had been sitting there with his eyes closed, snoozing, the ice had gotten thicker and thicker, and it had covered the whole river and caught his tail in it, dangling in the water. And Bear tried to stomp backwards with his paw, but he couldn't break the ice that way. And he tugged, and it pulled at it, but he wasn't going to give up. He just kept tugging, and finally it jerked free and he went tumbling on the ground. But when he looked back behind him, all he had left in the place of his tail was the little stubby tail that bears have today, and no fish. The end. All right, we're gonna do a counting finger play today. Are you ready? It's about bears again, because that's what we're doing today. One little bear, wondering what to do. Along came another, and then there were two, right. Two little bears climbing up a tree. Can you climb? Along came another, and then there were three. Three little bears ate an apple core. Along came another, and then there were four. Four little honey bears found honey in a hive. Can you lick honey off your paw? Along came another, and then there were five. Should we do that one more time? One little bear, wondering what to do. Along came another, and then there were two. Two little bears climbing up a tree. Along came another, and then there were three. Three little bears ate an apple core. Along came another, and then there were four. Four little honey bears found honey in a hive. Along came another, and then there were five. Now you know the story of the three bears, don't you? They're not to be confused with the three little pigs. The three bears didn't build three houses. They just built one, because they were a mommy bear, a daddy bear, and a baby bear. And this is their story. You see, one day, Mother Bear decided she was going to make porridge for her family. And she did. Porridge is like oatmeal. It's yummy. It's like a breakfast cereal that you can sometimes put brown sugar in, or raisins, or all kinds of fruit, and it's really, really good. But it's hot. And when they started to eat it, they decided it was just too hot to eat. So they decided they were going to go out and have a walk while they waited for their porridge to cool. So Father Bear put on his hat and walked out the door, and Mama Bear put on her hat and walked out the door, and right behind them was Baby Bear. And he walked out the door behind them. And all would have been well. They didn't even lock the door. It was a pretty safe neighborhood, except that they weren't the only ones out taking a walk. Along the forest trail came skipping a young girl with beautiful golden locks. They were so striking, in fact, that everyone called her Goldilocks. And they all told her how beautiful her hair was and how special she was. And so Goldilocks grew up thinking that she could pretty much get away with whatever she wanted, because all she had to do was bounce her golden locks and she wouldn't get in trouble. Well, she was walking along the forest trail and she saw the the most adorable little house. And she thought, it looks so small, it's like a playhouse. I wonder whose house it is. And she walked up, and she really was going to knock on the door. But when she peeked in the window, she didn't see anybody in there. And so she decided she would just let herself in to take a peek. So she went into the house, and of course the bears weren't there, but she thought the house was so adorable. In the living room, they had 3 chairs. They matched. They were pretty colors, but one was bigger and one was medium-sized and one was little. And she decided first she was going to sit in the big chair because it looked like a queen's throne to her. But that chair was Papa Bear's chair. And when she sat down, she said, "Ooh, this chair is too hard." So she moved over to Mama Bear's chair, which was plush and soft with cushions and pillows. And when Goldilocks sat down, she felt like the chair was going to swallow her up. And she said, "Oh, this is too soft." And she got up and she sat on Baby Bear's chair. Baby Bear is pretty close to the size of a school-age girl. And so that chair fit perfectly. And it wasn't too hard and it wasn't too soft. And so she rocked in the chair and rocked in the chair and rocked. And then she started rocking hard because it's fun to rock so hard your feet fly up in the air, until she rocked so hard that the chair flipped onto its back and one of the arms broke off. She felt bad about that, but she got up and started looking around to see what else she could find. Now, on the table were the bears' bowls of porridge. Remember, they had left them there to cool, and they really smelled good. And Goldilocks had been walking a long way before she came to the house, so she was hungry. So she sat down next to the biggest bowl of porridge, and she picked up a spoon and she took a bite. She said, "It's too hot, hot." She swiftly moved over to the next bowl, which was a little bit smaller, and it had pretty blue flowers all around the edge. And she took a bite. She said, "Oh, this one's too cold." Maybe Mama Bear put some cool cream in hers before she left, so it cooled down too fast. And it wasn't yummy at all, in Goldilocks' opinion. So she sat down at the third bowl, which was Baby Bear's bowl, and she took a bite and she said, "Oh, this is perfect." And she ate until her tummy was full and the bowl was empty. But then she was getting kind of sleepy. So she went and peeked around the corner into the room she hadn't looked in yet. And there were 3 beds there. How lucky was that? First, she jumped up into the great big bed because it reminded her of her grandpa's bed back home. But it was so big that she could barely get up on it, and she was not comfortable. She said, this bed is too big for me." And so then she got on the next bed, the medium-sized bed, Mama's bed. And she said, "Oh, this bed has springs that are too hard in my back. It's not right." And so she got up and she got in the third bed, and it was just right. So she pulled the blankets up, snuggled down, and went to sleep. But around about that time, the door opened again, and in walked the bears. Papa Bear noticed right away that something was up. He said, "Someone's been sitting in my chair." And Mama Bear said, "Ah, someone's been sitting in my chair as well." And then Baby Bear said, "Somebody's been sitting in my chair and they broke it all to pieces." Well, Mama Bear and Papa Bear hugged Baby Bear tight and said they would fix it soon. But first, they went out into the kitchen. And Papa Bear looked at his bowl and the spoon sitting next to it, and he said, "Somebody's been eating my porridge." And Mama Bear looked at her bowl and said, "Someone's been eating my porridge too." And Baby Bear hopped up in his little high chair and looked at the bowl and said, Someone must have been eating my porridge because it's all gone. I don't have any porridge left. How awful. Well, they decided that maybe they would take a rest after they'd had the walk, and when they got up again, they would try again, making another meal. So they went into their bedroom. Papa Bear noticed that his blankets were all mussed up, and he said, "Somebody's been lying in my bed." And Mama Bear looked at her bed. She said, look at my pillows. Someone's been lying in my bed too." And Baby Bear said, "Somebody's been lying in my bed, and they're still here. Look!" And the three bears gathered round the bed, and they stared and stared, and almost as if she could feel their eyes watching her. Suddenly, Goldilocks woke up, and she looked up and saw three bears standing over her. Oh, she didn't think that shaking her curls was going to get her out of trouble this time. So she hopped out of the bed as quickly as she could and said, I'm sorry, and ran out the door. She didn't go into the strangers' houses anymore after that. Papa Bear said, I think we should get a lock for the door. And Mama Bear said, and maybe a peephole in it too. And Baby Bear said, and I think a puppy to bark when someone comes would be just right. The end. Okay, we're gonna sing a song now, and it has some animal sounds in it. And since you are so smart and you know all of your animal sounds, you can help me, right? We're gonna start with ducks. So what sound does a duck make? I think you're doing it right. That's right, quack, quack, quack. Here we go. When ducks get up in the morning, they always say good day. When ducks get up in the morning, they always say good day. Quack, 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 that is what they say. Quack, 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 that is what they say. Pretty good. Now we're gonna do bears. Because of course. When bears get up in the morning, they always say good day. When bears get up in the morning, they always say good day. Growl, 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 that is what they say. Growl, 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 that is what they say. When dogs get up in the morning, they always say good day, don't they? When dogs get up in the morning, they always say good day. Woof, 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 that is what they say. Woof, 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 that is what they say. What else gets up in the morning? When kittens? Should we do kittens or big cats? Let's be baby kittens. When kittens get up in the morning, they always say good day. When kittens get up in the morning, they always say good day. Mew, 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 that is what they say. Mew, 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 that is what they say. What about birds? When birds get up in the morning, they always say good day. When birds get up in the morning, they always say good day. Tweet, 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 that's what some of them say. Caw, 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 that's what the rest of them say. And you know what? Since our summer reading theme is be kind. When bees get up in the morning, they always say good day. When bees get up in the morning, they always say good day. Buzz, 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 that is what they say. Buzz, 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 that is what they say. And what do you say? When kids get up in the morning, they always say good day. When kids get up in the morning, they always say good day. Let's go play now, that is what they say. Let's go play now, that is what they say. Okay, did you enjoy our story time today? Do you have funny hats and things that you can play with at home to pretend to be different characters. I know not everybody probably has a giant wig, but even if you take a yellow towel and put it over your head, you'd make a very fine Goldilocks. Or maybe a red blanket and you could be Red Riding Hood. Or you could make a crown and you could be any number of princes or princesses. We're making lots of crafts in the library this summer. We may not have a costume craft this weekend, but if you watch on Saturday, I can show you how to make animals. There'll be a video up on the library's YouTube channel about how to make animals out of empty toilet paper tubes. You keep an eye out for that. But for now, let's get a big stretch, shall we? I want to see you reach for the ceiling and touch the floor. Stand up again. Let's do some more. Touch your head. And now your knees. Up to your shoulders, like this, you see. Reach for the ceiling. And touch the floor. That's all there is. There isn't any more. I'll see you guys later.